What about your boy Clivert pantsing Sar? Did you see that?
I didn't want to talk about it.
Nah, man, that in my book that's a red card, man. That's a red card. You're bringing the game into disrepute, man. You can't be pulling people's shorts down. This is a professional atmosphere, bro.
And it's disrespectful. Like,
It's
bro,
it's magic.
if he punched you in the face, I wouldn't be mad. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Shirtless Plantain Show. This is the weekend review. I'm your host, Tosin, alongside Dean. There is no coach today. You just have the two of us, and that's it.
Where's Coach?
I don't know, man. He's doing a side mission again. Who knows?
That's crazy, man. I never knew niggas come on this pod for years and give Mohamed Salah a lot of shit for celebrating Christmas. Now it's Easter Sunday and we can't find our resident Muslim. I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. I don't know what that nigga doing, but you dress like the Easter bunny. He not even here. Niggas is wildin', man. This whole Sky Daddy thing, man. I don't know, man. Anyway, how you doing, my brother?
I'm good, man. I just want to first of all say Happy Easter and Happy 420 to everybody. Either way, I hope you're celebrating the Most High. How are
Yeah,
you?
I am fantastic. I've been better, but I've been worse. But my mood goes as Arsenal goes, so life is good. Can't complain.
There we
Let's go.
go. Let's go to Serie A. Serie
Yeah.
A has the most intense league title battle right now, and they've been doing this for a few years now. If you haven't been watching Serie A like we have been for the last few years, please start watching Serie A because it's insane. We're gonna start off with Monza and Napoli. Saturday they play. McTominay scored the winner, which is a beautiful header and a really good cross into the box. But yeah, Scott has been performing very well in Italy as I expected. But yeah, they've been doing very well, and now Napoli have a shot to win the title. So yeah,
Yeah, 10 this season. Apparently, that matches his high at United, and as far as like goals in all competitions, so that's pretty impressive. At this point of the season, with I believe 5 games left, maybe around that amount, the point is to just win the game.
yeah,
Just win the game, and Napoli did that. Even despite not playing particularly well, I would still say they deserve to win the game. But I can't remember a whole lot of chance creation beyond the goal that McTominay scored. So I guess credit to them for doing that because they put the pressure on Inter, who played on Sunday.
yeah. McTominay, I know you mentioned this in my agenda.
Yeah.
He would definitely fit United, and it's ironic because those two tens, he would be great in one of those 10 positions. I do understand why Scott left. He wanted pastures new, and we'll get into this when we talk about United later on. But it's funny that the players United sold for their academy players in recent years have not been better than the academy players. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah,
Better is a matter of context, especially when it comes to United. How
yeah,
do we know who's good and who isn't good when the environment is what it is? Like Scott McTominay, yes, he scored 10 goals in a season before at United, but he's not playing the way he's playing at Napoli. I mean, like they talking about this nigga like he a saint. Like this is Saint Scott now. Like he's killing.
yeah,
I'm not sure he ever would have achieved that with any manager at United, especially since he was brought into the team by Mourinho as a bit of a defensive midfielder side. Even though we all knew that wasn't him from the youth teams.
yeah.
But once people see you as one kind of player, you're
That's
pretty much stuck there until someone with a lot of charisma gets to change that for you. And
yeah,
he was gone before Amarim showed up. So who knows? What
yeah.
could have been? What could have been?
Scott said something funny. He said the tomatoes in Italy a lot fresher because I hated tomatoes before, and I came to Italy and the tomatoes just tasted better. I was like, wow, England just must be a terrible place to live.
Terrible place. I mean, I visited the last 2 summers, and honestly, I got maybe one more summer in me. Them niggas broke as fuck.
Maybe that's why coach isn't here today because England sucks.
Yeah.
Bologna Inter. Man, this game pissed me off as a fan of Inter, fake fan of Inter. And I know it probably irritated you. Orsolini, though, by the way, he's having one hell of a season. He's telling the Italian coach, hey, I'm right here. Okay, I'm right here.
Yeah, his case is really interesting. Before we get into the game, let's do the Orsolini chatter because he's been saying this for weeks and he's been backing it up most of the season. I mean, Vincenzo Italiano is killing with the team at Bologna. We all thought that there might be a slip up after Thiago Motta left, but he's sort of maintained the standard. They played differently from the way they used to play. They still have a bunch of weaknesses off the ball, but you can't really argue with fifth in the table at the moment. But as far as Orsolini goes, he's one of the guys that has definitely benefited from the new coach. His form has been fantastic most of the season. And it does beg the question because Spalletti, I'm sure Spalletti thinks he's playing well because I think he's playing well. If I think he's playing well, Spalletti's not a dumbass. He knows the guy's playing well too, but I think it's just a matter of system. He
Yeah.
just doesn't have room for that sort of player in the system. And it does beg the question, like when you have, I'm looking at what Italy has up front. Yeah, they got some quality, but it's not as if Italy's pulling up trees here. I think you just bring him into camp and you might find a use for a player that good, or at least a player that's in that kind of form. But then again, I don't know, outside of like the Nations League stuff, it's not as if Italy, I mean, World Cup qualifiers have started.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, because World Cup next year.
Yeah, so he needs to consider the guy. I think there's such a thing as being too married to your system.
Yeah.
If a player's in good form, playing well, bring him in.
You remember Friday when Craig's mama was just like, make it enough? Yeah, go make it enough. Make it enough, okay?
Yeah, bring it in, bring it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but back to Bologna Inter, man. Bologna, their chase for the Champions League is looking good. It looks like they'll do it again 2 seasons in a row, even though their last performance wasn't that great. Inter, on the other hand, man, bro, like that did piss me off. Like I saw Jan Bissek head that ball, and I was like, that is not going in the right direction. And Ursulini was there, beautiful. Are we calling that a scissors kick or a bicycle kick? Which one is it?
Scissors. It's not a bicycle.
Scissors kick. Okay, yeah. So he scored that, but I think generally Bologna deserved this. I can't even hate. This is a venue where Inter have historically struggled. I can recall. I want to say, was it the year Milan won the Scudetto that Inter went to Bologna and fumbled there pretty late in the season, and
Yes.
that basically gave it to Milan, I think. But this time they haven't fallen behind Napoli, so there's credit there. They're tied. Apparently, if the season were to end today, they would play a playoff at San Siro because of goal difference, which I kind of rate. But when I think of fixture congestion, I'm like, I don't know about that. So y'all better sort it out before it gets to that point. But I think this game is a perfect illustration of what it looks like when a team is chasing a treble. No matter how good you look for most of the season, at some point, people are going to get tired. And Inter just looks so lethargic and tired today. I can remember one good chance in the second half where Bologna's goalkeeper sort of fumbled across. The ball got cleared off the line, I believe. But otherwise, John Lucumi, I think, had everybody on lockdown. Lautaro had some moments, but nothing that was going to lead to a goal. So Bologna definitely deserve this. But I'm glad Inter didn't mess up to the point where Napoli is actually ahead of them. They still sort of control their own fate. So I guess the question for you, Tosin, is should Inter try to prioritize a competition or do they just keep fighting on all fronts? Because I feel like they're so close, but trebles are tricky. You can fumble everything in a week.
As somebody whose team has won the treble and also messed up a treble at the same time, I don't know if they got the depth for them to be doing that because I'm looking at their forward line, right? Like outside of Lautaro and Marcus, Taremi's not that good, and Arnautovic is pretty old. So I think you gotta focus on something, man. Like you really gotta pick. You gotta pick something because you're looking tired. Bastoni looked tired today. Barella looked tired. It's like your best players, your spine of your team. Lautaro looked tired. It's like you gotta pick something, man. Like you're not that good to be playing for a treble, but you're good enough to win one of the three. So you got to pick
Or
one.
maybe two of the three,
Yeah.
but not all three.
Yeah.
So which one should they focus on, do you think?
Coppa Italia and Serie A. But then again, like, because I just feel like with Champions League, right? I think they could beat Barcelona.
Yeah.
But then you beat Barcelona, you're going to run to a buzzsaw, which is Arsenal PSG. And yeah, I don't know.
I don't know that. I mean, I feel like their chances of winning the Champions League are as good as their chances of winning any of the other competitions.
Yeah.
So since I want to say it's the one they've won, they haven't won the Champions. Inter haven't won the Champions League since 2010, the
Yeah.
Mourinho treble team. This team is not as good as that team, even on
No.
paper. Even performance-wise, they're not as good. More interesting, but not as consistent. So I would say maybe focus on the Champions League. But what does that look like? It's only 3 games left to win it. So are you going to abandon the remaining 5? It's a tricky place to be. I guess I'm glad my team is not going for a treble right now.
And I'm glad my name is not Simone Inzaghi.
Yeah, because he has a lot of analyzing to do. But I do wish Inter luck. I just don't want Antonio Conte to win. He was already whining earlier this week about. We don't know what he was whining about this time. He's being cryptic. He hasn't gotten to the full point. Maybe if they lost this weekend, he would have let us know what he was whining about this time. But he's always crying about some shit. So, plus, I
Unnecessary.
love Inter. So whatever.
Yeah, and he's always crying about something unnecessary. It's like, yo, grow up. You're a grown man.
He's a troll.
What are you doing? But this is what he was like as a player anyway. Crybaby. Milan hosted Atalanta and Milan lost. This is a terrible season for Milan, okay? They have a good squad. You should not be ninth, but that's where they are because they're not good this season. It's helter skelter over there. Coach's boy is not a good coach. Okay, he's not a good coach.
Sergio Conceição. I mean, he's a good coach. I think.
Hmm.
I don't know. I just don't like. I don't like. He's a good coach. He's not our kind of coach. Put it that way.
Fair
But
enough.
I just. I don't know, man. I don't. I can't really diagnose what's going on with Milan. They haven't been stable all season. Even the people like someone like Tijani Reinders that was playing pretty well for most of the season seems like he's tailed off a little bit. And when the team is just playing badly, I think everybody suffers. So you can't really point to one problem. Today, Atalanta were well worth the win. Probably should have won by maybe 2 or 3 for my money. They didn't. Some good defending by Milan to keep it to 1, but that's not what they needed. They needed points. And like you said, they're in 9th. So it's about to be a wrap. I don't think he's making it to next season. I'll tell you that much. But I'll give him credit for this. He has given up on the Yao Felix experiment. Now he's just bringing him off the bench. When he first got there, he was starting him, playing him in his favorite position, all that nonsense. Bro, you're like every other manager that's managed this dude. You found out that he's kind of mid. You cannot build shit around him.
When a fellow Portuguese man gives up another fellow Portuguese man, just know that maybe it might be time to play five-a-side professionally, Yao Felix. Well, go to Saudi because you tried every league, you tried every flavor of ice cream, and none of it works. Maybe you should just try sorbet instead because it's
Bro,
not for you.
he needs to go play in the J League or something, man, because he got that Mizuno endorsement, which Mizuno, I don't know if you guys listen to this pod, but that's bad for your brand, okay? Find yourself another saucy young player. Yao Felix ain't it, but he's just I've now given up on him too. I've kind of been slowly trying to resist that, but he's had enough opportunities to show it for different coaches in different countries for different teams, and he shows glimpses every time. That's it. So I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah, he's not it. I have a question for you though. What do you think about Edison? What do you make of Edison, the midfielder?
Yeah, the Atalanta midfielder. I guess I'm not. Here's how I judge players. I think I mentioned this before on the pod. It's like, would that player be good enough to play for the team that I watch every week? That being Arsenal. And he'd be a good depth option at Arsenal, but I don't think I'd be knocking down doors for him or anything like that. He feels like what used to be reasonably called a 35 to 45 million pound euro player. And I think if Atalanta ever sell him, they're going to want like 70 million for him. And I just don't see him as being worth that much. But is he a good player, to answer your question? Yes. But he's probably going to be overvalued on the market. So how good is he?
So that's why I asked you because United are linked heavily, and I look at him every time I watch him, and I'm just like, you're a good player, but we've spent so much money on midfielders that are not worth that price. 50 something million for him, I'm not feeling it. I'm really not feeling the 50
Yeah,
something
it's
mil.
it's it's tricky because you want to you need some experience in the squad, but I don't know that that's the kind of experience you want, or you want to pay that kind of price for that level of experience. I'd
Yes.
rather just pay less and go a little younger than him.
Or just promote for your academy. Lecce and Como. Como have been probably one of the best stories this season in any league. One of the best in Serie A for sure. Diao and Nico Paz, they stand out like a sore thumb. They're the two best players on this team for sure. They connected today in that game on the first goal. And that assist from Nico Paz to Asan Diao was spectacular. If you haven't seen it, go watch that assist. It was everything.
Gotta see it. Like the assist was so saucy that the linesman thought it was offside. I was like, nah, bro. You were just so caught up with the ball and where it started from and where it ended that you forgot to do your job. That's what really
Yeah.
happened. But yeah, they've been really good all season. There's only so much quality around them, so the production is probably not going to be as high as the people that get mentioned for awards and whatnot. But they've definitely played well. They pop from the screen every week you watch Como games or Como highlights. So credits to them. A fellow on the team named Golden Iga, who really should be black, scored his first goal in 5 years for the club, which is pretty cool, or his
Yeah,
first
is it?
Serie A goal in 5 years. So 3-0. Lecce, I don't really know why they're here. I think they'll probably get relegated, it's my guess.
Yeah,
They're close to
more
it.
than likely. Yeah, and then Dial's second goal was a really good finish from him. So, yeah,
Yeah, he's definitely a talent. He's Spanish, right?
he's one of those black Spanish. Yeah,
Yeah, but
well, he
okay,
decided to
so.
play for Senegal.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic. And we love it. We love it. I'm an even bigger fan now. I
yeah,
thought to myself, maybe he wants to try to break into that Samu, Nico, Yamal triumvirate, but
Yeah.
Go hang with the man them. I love it. I
He
love
went
it.
to go hang out in Dakar with the man them. Go to nigga reminds me of the Italian. I mean the Argentine. Well, same Italian, Argentine, same thing. But
Yeah.
you remember him? The one with the nigga last name too. Yeah.
Yeah, the one at Italia 90
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the nice jewelry and the great saves, but I'm drawing a blank on his name right now.
Yeah. I just know it's something nigga. That's all I know it is.
Yeah, it's a lot
Yeah.
of niggas in Argentina. A lot of niggas.
They got
Killed
rid of
most of them though.
let's look at the standings in Serie A before we get out of here. Inter and Napoli are tied both for first. Technically, Inter first on 71 points. Atalanta come in third with 64. Bologna fourth and 64. Juventus will play tomorrow are fifth with 59. Roma is sixth with 57th, and that rounds up your top six in Italy. Let's
That is
head
what
over to Spain.
it is.
Barcelona and Celta Vigo. What a game this was. Dean, the floor is yours. I want you to talk about this game because this was a comedy of a game.
What if I don't want to talk about the game?
Then we don't talk about it. We just move on.
I don't have a particular interest in Barcelona, but yeah, this is sort of a bit of a perfect illustration of what makes if you listen to the pod on a regular basis, I'm sure that in the last 3 or 4 appearances that you've heard this voice, I've spoken about how I think Barcelona can be gotten at, and while they're definitely, I mean, every team left in the Champions League is a favorite right now to win it. If you make it to the semis, you can win it, but they concede too many goals for my liking. Like now, I'm not saying that this is the wrong way to play football. Not at all. But they concede too many goals, and Celta Vigo were the latest beneficiaries of that. Essentially, we had a situation where Frankie de Jong found himself marking Borja Iglesias, a pure 9 for Celta Vigo on goal kicks. And that just led to their high line getting exposed on multiple occasions. And yeah, it wasn't a good look because this man scored a hat trick. Like at some point, when the same player keeps getting the same kind of chances against you, basically balls in behind your high line on the break. Most managers would tweak something during the game. Hansi Flick doesn't really have to do that because he has quality, and because he rotated, he was able to bring that quality off the bench. So instead of adjusting his tactics, he just changed the quality of player he had on the pitch and brought on Yamal and Olmo, and that was basically the difference in the game. But I thought Alex Moriba, ex-La Masia player, was really good for Celta Vigo. Probably the best I've seen him play since he left the club a couple years ago, because I know he was at Leipzig for a while. I think he was somewhere else in Spain for a while, maybe Valencia. Then he finally ended up at Celta Vigo, so he looked really good in this game. His physicality kind of canceled out. It was I don't want to stereotype too much, but it was a bit Beauty and the Beast, him versus Pedri. One
Yeah.
guy doing his defensive work by just being in the right place at the right time every time, making hella interesting. I think he made like 14 interceptions in this game. Pedri did. We don't really think of him as a defensive player, but counter pressing is part of the game, and he's really good at it. On the other hand, Moriba, just a big black dude, just knocking dudes over, taking the ball off and starting breaks.
Yeah.
So it was a good illustration of how you need every sort of player, or how one kind of player works for one kind of team and another kind of player, vice versa and all that. But fantastic game. Iglesias' hat trick took the game from 1-0 Barcelona. Ferran Torres scored their goal to 3-1 Celta Vigo. Then Olmo and Yamal came on, and Barcelona's lives changed. Unfortunately, though, Lewandowski got a hamstring injury.
Out for 3 weeks.
Rafinha scored the final goal in this. Was a bit of a soft penalty, I think. I mean, what do you think of it?
It was a penalty. I mean,
Yeah,
they're always going to give it to
it
Barcelona.
was kind of soft, though, right?
Yeah, it was. But the
Especially for a
funny
last
thing is,
minute. Like,
funny thing is, before he took the penalty, he doused the ball in water.
trying to wash the curses off that motherfucker. But it worked because he
Yeah.
converted the penalty.
Yeah.
So I guess that begs the question. It's been a while since we did a Ballon d'Or check-in. Where do you have Rafinha at the moment?
Number one. It's
Number
gonna
one
be hard.
by far?
Yeah, if Barcelona wins any major trophies, this is gonna be his. I mean,
Any major trophy?
yeah, I think they win the league, which obviously gonna probably end up winning. They win a supplement with a Champions League. Yeah, he'll end up getting it. I think so. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's the most likely candidate because I think all the Madrid guys are out of the equation at this point. Because even if they come back to win the league, it's not enough. You're Madrid players. You got to do more than that to win the league. And no one really has the numbers on that team right now. Mbappe is the closest, and it's just not enough.
Yeah.
Rafinha has stupid numbers and keeps showing up every week. He not only just like showing up in terms of, he shows up in the moments. He scored the equalizer and the winner in this game. That's kind of stuff voters remember when the time comes. And I think the only person really competing with him at the moment would be Dembele for
Yeah.
PSG. So I think we might wrap this one up early because
Yeah.
voters just don't view Ligue 1 like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like Dembele would have to do crazy shit through the end of the Champions League and win it to win the Ballon d'Or, and I don't think PSG is going to do that. So,
By the
yeah,
by
it's
the way, this
Rafinha.
is the third hat trick this year that someone has scored against Barcelona, and back to back hat tricks they've been scored on. Because last week in the Champions League and then this week, so that high line is higher than anybody today. So yeah,
Hey man, and it's crazy because the teams doing this are not like they're not like great defensive teams either.
no.
So it's interesting if a team that actually can do that to them and also knows how to defend, Inter, Arsenal. Problem what, but we'll wait and see. How do you rank the Champions League semifinalists if you're ranking them 1 to 4 from most likely to win it to least likely? How would you rank that?
It's gonna pay me to say this. Arsenal number one because I don't think a lot of people understand like the name of the game in football is defend, right? Like obviously you have to go and score goals, but if you're hard to break down but you can score, you got the jackpot. And most teams can't break Arsenal down. It's just on. It. When I was watching Real Madrid right before the Champions League, I said Arsenal going to beat them because it's like that. You remember when Cat was trying to back down DeMarcus Cousins? That's
Yeah.
what it was like. I knew this exactly was going to happen. Like, yeah, you might get a bucket or two here, but you're not going to get past. So Arsenal's number one for me. Inter because they can defend. PSG because I'm still shaky about Marquinhos. Marquinhos puts. I'm not a big fan of Marquinhos back there, man. Like he scares me, and I'm not sure how their midfield battle versus Arsenal is going to be the most thing I'm going to watch out of anything because while they're really good on the ball, Arsenal got a Declan Rice and a Declan Rice against a bunch of I hate to use this word because I don't want to talk like this, but against a bunch of twinks, it ain't gonna work. Declan Rice is gonna run through them. He just is what it's gonna be, and I have Barca last because what we just talked about that high line is like you're playing against three teams who can defend decently, but the first two are just bastards when it comes to defending. Like Inter don't have the sexy names. Like they have a top five player in each of their spine, like Bastoni, Barella, and Martinez, but the rest of them are just a bunch of hardworking big ass dudes, right? And I don't think Barcelona really want to try and break that down. So that's how I got it. Arsenal, Inter, PSG, and Barcelona. What about you?
Yeah, that's mine too. That's mine too.
Yeah,
I might swap Barcelona and PSG.
yeah,
I think people are just really a lot of people that are impressed with PSG. I think are impressed with PSG because they beat Liverpool. But I've been telling you motherfuckers all year, and even though they're about to win the league, it's not going to change my mind. Liverpool were never that good. Okay, this was just a team to win. It's you know what? I'd rather have lucky generals than good generals. I don't know who said that, but someone said maybe it was Napoleon. And Liverpool have had they're a good team that have been even luckier this season, put it that way. And
yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
but yeah, the standings in La Liga.
we will get to that, but we got some
Oh,
games
aren't we
in La
done?
Liga. No, we're not done yet. We got some games left. We still
Oh
got
shit,
some
we
games
do, we
left.
do, we do.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, nah, you're fine. I know you're excited to get out of here because Barcelona to wrap this up. But Real Madrid and Bilbao. I watched this game because obviously we're playing Bilbao. Barcelona they changed up their formation today. They had two strikers with Vini and Rodrigo playing together, so it was like a little bit of a different shape. They got an Mbappe size problem because we all know they all want to be in the left, and Vini looked good from the left, but I don't know.
I don't know how I feel about the. I mean, it's obviously it's vogue to shit on Real Madrid right now because they just got embarrassed by a team that people didn't realize how good they were. But it wasn't a surprise to me. I'm an Arsenal fan. I watch them every week. But I don't. I think a couple months ago we all decided that they sort of figured out how to use Mbappe and Vinny. I think what we've now come to realize is that at the very very elite level of the game where the margins are slim, it's difficult to get away with using both those guys if you're gonna play. I mean, I don't think you can actually play both of them and win at the very elite level of the game. I just don't think you can. But we've seen it work. It's just a matter of they don't have the defensive stability to run this experiment. If they have a good defense behind them and a 10%er in midfield, I'd like to see it then against the elite teams. But as things currently stand, they don't have enough to pull that off. And today, they looked better against Bilbao. And I suppose it helped that Mbappe wasn't there. But I'd rather have Mbappe on the field if I'm the team that's paying him to play.
That's
So,
true.
but yeah, it was real tense at the beginning of the game, man. Did you watch from the start?
I didn't watch from the start, but I do know that you know Bilbao are gonna be tough for us to play against. I know that much.
Yeah, they rotated everybody for this game. Everyone important. The Williams brothers didn't show up. I think Nico, I don't know if he's injured or something, but
He
he
has a
just
groin
didn't.
injury.
A groin injury. Okay, so he didn't show up at all. His brother was on the bench. Oihan Sancet was on the bench. Danny Vivian was on the bench. So essentially their best attacking midfielder, their best forward, their best defender all played in midweek when they beat Rangers, but they were all on the bench. And I figured Valverde was just, Ernesto Valverde was running a scam where he was just going to have legs out there for the first half, and it worked because they kept Madrid goalless. And it kept working even after he brought on his actual players to try to steal something at the end of the game. But ultimately, based on what I watched, because I was kind of half watching this game and preparing for the show, but I thought Real Madrid deserved the win here. They deserved the win. Vinicius scored a goal. Well, that was judged as offside because, was it Endrick had a toenail or something outside? It was crazy, so that should have counted. And I just thought, they created, I think they had like 20 shots in this game, like 6 or 8 on target. So I think that was more than enough compared to what Bilbao did, which was almost nothing.
Yeah.
But it took a moment of magic for the game to actually be settled. Wasn't that the case, Tosin?
The other Valverde won the game.
Yeah.
And he didn't do that against Arsenal because, again, there's a Declan Rice. And you can't do that against a Declan Rice.
Levels day.
But that was a sexy finish nonetheless.
It really was. It really was. But the interesting thing about Valverde is that if anyone came up to you and said, "Oh, Valverde scored a goal," you can almost imagine what the goal would look like. It'd be from this side or that side or the middle, but you know what his goal looked like. Great finish.
Yeah, he has a trademark.
Yeah.
And there's another person who's as Arsenal kid we'll talk about who has a trademark finish, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, Arsenal Real Madrid got the 3 points, and that was that. Villarreal and Real Sociedad. I saw some Spanish fans complain about this ref, and it's funny that each league and each person has their own version of complaining about referees, which is hilarious to me, because everyone does not like their referees at all.
Well, he was bad.
Yeah.
The refereeing team in this game was terrible, bro. They just were straight up and down.
Yeah, it was gross. It was gross, and there was a lot of goals that should have counted. I guess they didn't use that trump card this game, so. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't care what card you play. If refs are disallowing goal after goal, I would say so. 3 goals got disallowed in this game. They were all Villarreal goals. They were all in the second half, and Villarreal were just the better team in this game. They should have won this game. They basically won this game, but the refs decided they weren't going to win it because I want to say after I use it, first off, the goals Sociedad scored were ridiculous. We had the penalty that Oyarzabal converted, but the keeper had his whole hand on it when he dove for the save and somehow let it in. Then the keeper made another mistake, one of these back passes, then controlled the ball well with his foot, tried to kick it, bounced off Oyarzabal into the net. Ridiculous goal. So 2-1 to Sociedad at that stage. Then Ayoze Perez, we talked about him last week. He scored the equalizer, nice header. Then that's when the corruption began. Because I want to say Yeremy Pino scored a goal. He was judged offside. I think that was correct. Who scored the second goal?
It's one of the black dudes.
Yeah, Pape Gueye, I think, Senegalese dude, midfielder. He scored a goal that got judged as offside, interference offside, because there was a player near the goalkeeper that interfered with, but he didn't interfere with the play. He actually even ducked out of the way of the ball. He wasn't in the way of the ball, but he kind of ducked out of the way, so he made himself smaller, and he just wasn't really involved in the play. That should have counted as a goal. And even worse was how Pepe destroyed his man. The guy was trying to foul Pepe, falls over, and the lineswoman immediately pops her flag, And I'm just like, I feel like implicit bias was what was working there, because there's no angle I saw that play from where I thought Pepe fouled this dude. Anyway, Pepe goes ahead, so he goes on an assist. I think he assisted maybe Thierno Barry to score that goal. That should have been the third goal. Actually, it wasn't Barry, it was some debutant. Would have been his first goal for the club. I don't have his name at the moment, but yeah, that game, I don't know, man. Like, it definitely felt very Tim Donaghy to me. I got to be honest with you. Very Tim Donaghy. Even, this wasn't like PGMO bad. This was just generationally bad. Like, the way those goals got disallowed, I wouldn't be surprised if the referees got beat up on their way home. Like, it was bad. It was bad. It felt like gambling.
I think they're suspended, but
already
they should.
I'm interested. We'll see what happens Monday.
Yeah. But another game with VAR was controversial was Las Palmas Atletico Madrid. Las Palmas scored a winner late. They went to VAR. The guy didn't touch the ball at all, and then another guy finished it, and that was that. Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, Javi Munoz near the end. I forget the Atletico defender. He looks like an Atletico Madrid defender. I'm sure coach would look at him and be like, yeah, that's an Atletico Madrid defender, but he didn't clear the ball. You don't clear the ball, and you pay in the end. I mean, I think based on the balance of play, I would say Atletico deserved to win this game. They started poorly. Las Palmas started great, but they weren't efficient with their chances. Atleti did the same thing, but the goalkeeper, Dinko Horkas, interesting name, Croatian, 6'2", 26, keep an eye out for him because these saves were very high quality. He had a great save from Julian Alvarez at the far post, had another similar save on Simeone's boy at the far post as well. And Ollie McBurney was really good at this game. He got a standing ovation when he got subbed, So, yeah, Las Palmas, they're trying to escape relegation, and 3 points. I mean, there's no way their coach thought they would get 3 points in this fixture. So this is really good for them. And I suppose we wish them luck because they got a bunch of guys that we like. So, well, they got Ollie McBurney. That's all we care about, to be honest.
I love the celebration at the end with the fans when they all lost their shit when they score. So I mean, that's what the game's about.
This is what the game's all about, man. This is why we watch this shit.
Yeah. Can we get the standings in La Liga, please, sir?
Yes, we may. We can. Barcelona in first place, 73 points. Real Madrid are within 4 points on 69. It was looking like it was going to be 6, but they pulled it out at the end. Atletico Madrid have fallen way behind. They're now 10 points behind Barcelona. Villarreal, Athletic Club, Athletic Bilbao, are in 4th on 57 points. Villarreal are in 5th on 52 points, followed by Betis in the Europa League spot on 48, and Mallorca, didn't expect to see that, in 7th on 44 points with the Conference League spot. Y'all better let that shit go. You don't have the squad for that, Mallorca. I can tell you that right now.
I haven't heard of Mallorca since Eto's days.
I've been heard of Mallorca since I was booking my last vacation.
Bundesliga, what up to Germany? Heidenheim hosted Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich responded to their loss in Europe emphatically. They beat them 4-0. Kane, Leimer, Coman, and Kimmich scored within 55 minutes, and that was all she wrote, really.
Pretty much. There's not a whole lot to report here. Bayern looked like Bayern, and they got to cooking. Simple as that. On we go.
St. Pauli, Leverkusen. It's over Leverkusen. We had a little chance, but it's over. They went up 1-0, and then St. Pauli ended up scoring like the 78th, and
Yeah, it's I feel like the Bundesliga has almost felt more underwhelming than the Prem, because at least with Arsenal, they're. I mean, I guess Leverkusen had some injuries as well, but not as bad as Arsenal. But with Arsenal and Liverpool in the Prem, I think it's been obvious for a while, if you're a serious observer of the sport, that Arsenal were not going to be able to keep up with Liverpool with the injuries they had. Once they lost their best player in December, it's one thing if you lose him maybe a little earlier or a little later in the season, but they just lost him in a crucial period where there was a lot of fixtures, and he missed a lot of games, and, he wasn't the only one. So I think for most of us that followed the Prem, we kind of knew, even if we didn't say it, that if Liverpool just do what they're supposed to do, this should be over quickly. So there was no expectation. With Leverkusen and Bayern, there have been moments where Leverkusen, if they just got the result that week, they could have been right there, And every time Bayern have slipped up, they've slipped up too, which is just so frustrating from a neutral fan standpoint. This game, Grimaldo crossed a set piece to Patrick Schick. His 18th league goal. I know he scored a lot, but I didn't think it'd be 18, so that's impressive. And the equalizer for St. Pauli, man, just bad defending from Leverkusen. Deep cross comes in. Jonathan Tah misses it, and Piero Hincapié misses it as well. They both whiffed on headers. Lands at Gilavogi's feet, slots it in, 1-1. Question for you. Last season, we were all pretty sure at one point that Xabi Alonso was the next guy at Real Madrid. He declined. Decided to continue with the project at Leverkusen, which we all thought was really mighty honorable of him. But this season has not been nearly as good as last season. And even though I think Wirtz should stay, the money people are talking about right now, 150 million, you might have to move if that's what people want to pay right now. I don't know if it's going to be Bayern. I don't know if it's going to be City. But if you're potentially losing your best player and your second and a half season, I guess, because he's been there for a while now, didn't go as well as you wanted, do you just go to Madrid at this point?
I mean, there's strong rumors of him going to Madrid. I just don't know where he fits in Madrid. It's like
in the coach's seat.
Bro.
Well, are you talking about Wirtz or
Wirtz.
Alonso?
Both. Like I see Alonso fits in Madrid.
Well, Wirtz isn't happening. We know that. Not yet.
Yeah.
They don't have the money for that.
Yeah.
But Alonso
will fit. I think Alonso will fit at Madrid. He understands them, obviously. He'll bring a newer, younger face. But again, the thing with Madrid is like we don't know Madrid for their coaches. We know Madrid for being Madrid in their storylines because this is the same team in 2004 who had like 3 managers in 1 year. So the rope with the coaches in that club is really short. So I'm just like, hey, Xabi, dance with the devil. Just know what you're gonna get.
Honestly, I feel like if he really wants that specific job, he can pass on it again. It will open up again in the future. You just got to accept that if you're going to be there, you're not going to, if you're lucky, you're there for 3 seasons. If you're lucky, usually you'd be there historically, you're there for like 1 or 2. That's it. So, but at some point, it'll be open for him. I just wouldn't rush. But for me, if I'm Jabi, like I said earlier when I was teeing up the question, it depends on Verts. If Leverkusen tell me they're keeping Verts and bringing in some reinforcements, then we can go again. If they're about to sell him, then I might as well just go get my own money as well. That's kind of the way I see it.
Dortmund and Mönchengladbach was 3-2. Dortmund's midfield got ran through. Carney came on for Max Bayer. Carney has been really good for them. I think we kind of expect the Carney to be good in this league because he has the talent, right? He's always had the talent, but I think that he's found a good little place for him to get his study from home experience, work from home.
Yeah. It's always been a fitness issue with him. I mean, I think people have known about him since he was at Villa in the youth teams there. He was killing one of the best players in England as a youth product. He's still pretty young at the moment. Got to be 19, maybe 20.
I was like 21, I think.
21. But yeah, he came on for Bayer and he definitely made the difference. And it's interesting because when you think of Carney Chukwuemeka, you think of someone dribbling with the ball and going past a bunch of people. But that's not how he made the difference in this game. He basically was the best counter presser on the field. It was really strange to watch. He would just get the ball, pass it to someone else, and eventually ended up in the net. Basically, once he got involved in the game, Dortmund scored their 3 goals in 8 minutes. Guirassy got one. I want to say, who got the other one? Guirassy got one, Felix Mecha got one, and Svensson got the third. Mm-hmm. And Chukwuemeka was involved in all 3 of them. He didn't get a goal, he didn't get an assist, but if you just watch the highlights, you see that he either won the ball back or played the pass before the pass. He was just there for everything. And they looked really good. It was a real professional performance. They went up 3-1 in this game. Kevin Stoger got a penalty to bring it to 3-2. I think he scored in the other version of this game last year. But Gladbach didn't really offer much in this Borussia derby, if you will. They just, that second goal that for Mönchengladbach came, I want to say like the 50-something minute. And they didn't really offer much after that. So it looked real calm and professional for Dortmund, which is not something we're used to seeing.
Yeah, Felix Mecha, he's been picking up lately. So another one of those Nigerian hybrids that we have all over the world. It's another one of them. It's going to get the standings and get out of Germany. It's kind of pretty much a wrap. Bayern are first with 72 points. Leverkusen are second with 64. Frankfurt, 52 points. Leipzig in fourth with 49. Freiburg, 5th with 48. Mainz are 6th with 47. But here's where it gets crazy. From Dortmund, who are 7th, Werder, Mönchengladbach, and Augsburg, they have 45, 45, 44, and 43 points.
That is what we call tight.
Yes.
Let me run through France because we're not going to waste a lot of time in France, people. You know why this league has been a wrap for a while. I don't feel like there's any real pending storylines here. There's a race for Europe and a relegation race, but let's be honest, guys. We don't care, so we know you don't care, okay? We're the sickos, and if the sickos don't care, you motherfuckers don't care. But here's what happened in France real quick. Ligue 1, here we go. Monaco 0, Strasbourg 0. This is the shock of the weekend for me. Two teams in great scoring form recently. Goalless draw. Did not expect that. Leandro Senior, you need different glasses, my brother. PSG 2, they have 1. Desiree Doué and Gonzalo Ramos, they both had good games, and they both scored in this game. Simple as that. Le Havre got a consolation, and that's all it was. Marseille 5, Montpellier 1. Criminal FC, they finally rediscovered some form. I think it's been 5 weeks since they did anything useful, Tosin. Finally, after all the, I'm not going to coach you guys, and, they finally got something, so hopefully people will all calm down and nobody gets robbed or assaulted. Lille 3, who did Lille pay? Who did Lille play this weekend? Montpellier. So who did Marseille play?
You see how we're tied on Ligue 1? We don't even know who played who.
Exactly.
No.
You want to say so? Marseille played Montpellier, and Lille played Auxerre. Yes, and they won that game 3-1. Jonathan David got late goals in both halves. And that's how they sorted that out. Nice won 2-1 over Angers. And we're mentioning this game because Nice jumped to 5th place on goal difference with that win. And right as we started recording, the Saint-Etienne versus Lyon game ended 2-1. 2 goals from Lucas Statin for Saint-Etienne. but I think they're probably still going to get relegated, Tosin. But I don't know. You tell us what's going on with the standings, and we'll figure that out.
I got some tidbits that most people don't care about. First is Dwayne wore the same boots, vapor boots that Neymar did, and he copied Neymar's celebration when he scored. You know when Neymar did the little crazy like that celebration, he did that. And Saint Etienne were trolling Lyon fans. One of their fans wore a Harry Maguire jersey with Harry Maguire's number on the Saint
That's
Etienne number.
That's funny. That's a new. That feels like a newish brand of trolling that I've been seeing a lot. I think I
Yeah.
saw some folks in I want to say in the league game before the second leg of Real Madrid Arsenal. I saw a guy wearing a Declan Rice jersey and everyone was chanting Arsenal chants with him in Spain. It was really strange, but
Yeah.
long may it last. I'd like to see more of that
It's good trolling. It's good banter.
for sure.
Yeah, Saint Etienne they are 17th with 27 points. They're going down. I mean, Angers is 30, so and Nantes is 30, so there might be some space for them to try and work
There's
it
some
out.
hope.
But
There's some hope.
there's some
They
hope.
might
Yeah,
could do this.
yeah. Well, obviously PSG won the league when they got 77 points. Marseille second with 55.
Oof.
Monaco are third with 54. Lille are fourth with 53. Nice are fifth with 51. Lyon are sixth with 51. Then here's where it gets tricky. Strasbourg are seventh with 51. Lens are eighth with 45. Brest are ninth with 44. So race for Europe is going to hot up in France. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's a big
But
takeaway.
will I be paying a lot of attention? No, sir. I tell you
We'll
that
let
much.
we'll let you know though.
Yeah, we'll let you know what's going on, but we won't be paying a lot of attention. We're just gonna let you know that right now, okay?
Yeah.
It's Easter every weekend for us.
Yeah.
All right. Over to the Super League, isn't it, my brother?
Yeah, with the Premier League. Everton 0, Man City 2. I actually caught the second half of this game, well, the important parts of this game, because I was outside yesterday having a life instead of watching football. I actually decided to go outside and enjoy the city that I live in. And I was watching the game in a pizza shop. And as soon as I saw Nico O'Reilly, just do Nico O'Reilly, I scored. I was like, whatever, man. Everton were holding on. They're trying to hold on, but Nico O'Reilly scored, Kovacic scored, and the City got their 3 points, and that's that.
Yeah, I really like the Nico O'Reilly kid. It's a shame that he plays at City, and it's a shame that he's playing from left back at the moment. But it's definitely a reflection of his talent level that he's making an impact from left back. Like
Yeah.
every game I see him in, he does something important, and he's at left back. So when he gets a more central role in the future, oh God, I'm not looking forward to that. Fucking hate Pep. Anywho, news came out today, Tosin, that KDB leaving City was not his choice. The
Yeah.
club basically, I guess Pep, Cheeky, and some other important person there. I think the new guy that they got from Sporting, I forget his name. Used to work with Amorim. But in any event, all three of them decided that De Bruyne would not be continuing with Man City, and they kind of just informed him Pep wasn't there because he's a fucking coward, as always. But here's the question. Given everything he accomplished for that club, I kind of feel like the exit should have been a little, I want to say classier. I feel like there's a way to do it, and I don't think they did it the right way. And this is coming from a guy that doesn't like that club, I can admit it, but De Bruyne did show out for them for a decade straight. Like, surely they could have given him a better exit, no?
That's a club legend, the legend of the game, period. But I do believe that there is a much easier, there's a much humane way of letting people go, right? Like I think that in sports, when players get long in the tooth, right? When players, and I hate to do cross sport comparisons, but I have two sports teams that I support, only two, and one does things the right way, the other one doesn't. United holds on to players way too long, and the Ravens, like they'll let you know, like, hey, you're getting old. We're gonna let you go. I think there's a way to let KDB go in a very nice way instead of just like, oh, by the way, dude, guess what? You out, man. Then there's a nicer way to do it. But either way, you have to let KDB go. There is no two ways about it. I think KDB is a legend. I think he's like I said, the legend of the club, legend of the game. But when you're trying to consistently be a great team, you have to know when to let go. And that's what makes Alex special because he knew when to let these players go, right? When you start to keep players way too long, that's when your team starts to deteriorate. That's why you get Luke Shaw coming on against Leon when he shouldn't be at the club anymore. But I've said too much. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I get all that. I agree with it. I just think, again, there's a way to do it. There's such a thing as man management. There's such a thing as bedside manner. And I think, I'm not saying Kevin De Bruyne should have had the right. I mean, even Thomas Muller just kind of got unceremoniously turfed out at Bayern Munich. Right? And he's the most Bavarian of all the Bavarians, so, but he actually helped them out by, sort of putting out the sort of messaging that would protect the club because he's such a good club guy. Well, I think with KDB, they should have at least discussed options. I know he doesn't have an agent, so I feel like that should have made it even easier. You just talk to that like, hey, listen, Kevin, we don't think you can give us what you've offered over the last decade. We'd like to keep you in a smaller role. We'd like to keep you at smaller pay. We're gonna, like give him options. Then if he's like, nah, I feel like I'm still worth whatever billion, because we know they're paying him extra under the table. We know that, like in City, But if he's still insisting on the same bag that he's getting, that he was getting during his prime, that he can't really live up to right now because he's not as fit, and he doesn't play as many games, then at that point you're like, all right, well, we tried to work it out, it didn't work out, peace. But to not even provide an option and just, I just feel like his status was too big for that. But then again, I think about this and it makes me feel much better about the way they treated Yaya Toure, because I felt like they did him dirty too, but he already had a beef with Pep from before all of that, Barcelona. So I always thought that was the reason why, but if they can treat KDB like this, I don't know. The only guy that left City that I think they maybe did it the right way for him was maybe David Silva. And I want to say that's because like right before he left, he had the issue with his kid. They had to play. They won one of those titles. He was sort of the inspiration. So when they let him go, everything was just so lovey-dovey that we didn't really catch the ruthless bit. Because I feel like they've been very ruthless with KDB, and given what he's given that club, I feel like he didn't deserve that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
But as coach would say, fuck KDB.
Crystal Palace 0, Bournemouth 0. PGMO game. Chris Fletcher should not bring a send off. That was very silly. Whatever, man. I don't even want to get into this. Just whatever.
It is it's every week. I wish we could go one weekend where the PGMO didn't do some dumb shit. But that was just one. It was unequal. Because Alex Scott did the exact same thing for Bournemouth minutes before Chris Richards got sent off, and he didn't get a second yellow card. And I don't know. It just it makes you wonder. Is it the underbelly? Like because Chris Richards got an afro, but Alex Scott don't got an afro. And one guy got the red and the other didn't. I'm not saying, but I'm saying, I don't know what Sol Campbell thinks, but I think I know what he thinks.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out Palace, man. They held out for an entire half of football, didn't concede a goal. So they're, that definitely has to be viewed as a good point for them, I think.
100%.
Yeah. What about your boy Clivert, pantsing Sar? Did you see that?
I didn't want to talk about it.
Nah, man, that in my book, that's a red card, man. That's a red card. You're bringing the game into disrepute, man. You can't be pulling people's shorts down. This is a professional atmosphere, bro.
And it's disrespectful, like, bro.
It's mad.
If he punched you in the face, I wouldn't be mad.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, I was shocked that Sargent just, they were already a man down, so he probably just, he was thinking. Because I would have slapped that motherfucker, man.
Sorry, being a West African man that he is, I'm shocked he didn't turn around and give him elbow.
Like for real, like you're supposed to pull out your standard issue machete and threaten that dude for that behavior, man. But it's all good, man. Shout out Palace, man, and shout out Bournemouth. Teams I've enjoyed this season for sure.
West Ham won, Southampton won. Jared Bowen with a really good finish. Leslie Ugochukwu scored a really good goal. He's a talented player, man.
Yeah. He's definitely staying up, even if they've been going down for, I don't know, the past 3 months, it feels like. They finally got the point they needed to equal Derby County's record, so good for them. When they do get relegated, or after they get relegated, they won't be the worst of all the relegated teams ever, which is a shame because Southampton definitely deserves that sobriquet, if you will. But whatchamacallit, they actually played really well in this game.
They did.
They were the better team at West Ham. I didn't really see that coming, and it makes me wonder about Graham Potter's future at West Ham. Do you think that's gonna last much longer?
Not at all. This man took a sabbatical and became even worse.
That's a shame, man. That's a shame. Yeah, Nicholas Fulcrook did an interview after the game, and he gave it to everybody. The only person that escaped his wrath happened to be the coach. He said, like, the coach is very clear about what he wants from us, but once we take the lead, we just play like cowards. We kick everything long, and yeah, West Ham does that. They do that, but it worked well enough to beat Arsenal, and that's your trophy. So congratulations, West Ham fans. You still won. Yay.
Blow them bubbles. Brentford 4, Brighton 2. First and foremost, I want to talk about Mbuemo and Wissa. They are a ridiculous tandem. Two bald men, one dark skin, one light skin, and they've just been banging in goals this season, man. They're literally they're up there with like the top scorers in the league. So those are gonna end up being streets won't forget players for sure. Shout out to those two.
Yeah, definitely. Just another illustration of why when United were looking to replace Ten Hag, I thought that Thomas Frank was the ideal candidate. Like I don't know that just because you've been good at a smaller team that you automatically deserve the right to go to a big team like United, but I really just feel like he was a perfect fit for that gig. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
I think he could have made more out of the season than Ruben will. But we'll give Ruben time and see how that works out. But the fact that he went from relying on Tony, consistently, and one of these guys used to be on the bench quite often back when Tony was on the team, and has managed to go through that gambling suspension that Tony had and basically convert to a two-striker system that works so well. These guys have been killing for me in fantasy. I got both of them. Unfortunately, I put Wisse on the bench like an idiot this week, so I missed out on those points. But I got the Embuemo points.
Yeah.
But yeah, just very impressive performance. It almost felt like they were just like jabbing Brighton the whole game. Like every time Brighton did something good, they just scored another to make sure that something good then turned into something great. And Mitoma and Welbeck scored for Brighton, but when Yao Pedro got a red card in around the hour mark, this game was pretty much over, I would say. I want to ask you though, who will finish higher between these two teams? They're now in 10th. Brighton is 10th, and Brentford is 11th, and there's 2 points between them. Who do you have finishing higher?
I'm gonna say Brentford because Brighton have been trending downwards and they can't defend either. So there's that.
Yeah.
Also, one of my favorite things I've seen somebody tweet to Freddie Gibbs was that he looked like Wissa, and Freddie Gibbs got upset.
I would take that as an insult.
Freddie Gibbs is every bald dark skinned nigga ever.
Every one of them, Don Cheadle all the way to Wissa.
Even though Orlando. Aston Villa 4, Newcastle 1. The fuck Jason Tindo agenda is going crazy. So Moose is happy. Coach is happy. Wherever he is, he's happy about that.
Yeah, man. You happy about this and Easter?
Maatson got his debut goal in the Prem, which was he can strike a ball. That kid can strike the hell out of a ball.
Yeah.
Amadou
Credit to Ollie Watkins on that goal, though. He put it in the exact position he needed to be in with the exact right pace. I feel like even my grandma could have scored that shit, and she's been dead like 10 years. Shout out my grandma.
Ian Maatson again had what? You know, also had a really good finish. Amadou Onana. He went to as we say in Nigeria. He went to 10 nets.
Yeah, he came right off the bench to basically put a capper on this. I think he scored the 4th goal in this one.
Yeah.
And it was some nice gloss. There was an own goal from Dan Burn as well. But I'm curious. Newcastle beat Palace 5-0 earlier this week. Then they went to Villa and lost 4-1 to a team that went down to the wire against PSG in a very dramatic game that took a lot of running, a lot of legs out of them. What's the deal with that swing in quality level in 1 week?
I think both these teams evenly match up. In a weird way, they have the same sort of intensity in midfield, the same sort of like giddy boo with each other, right? I think this was one of those games where Villa's fans just kind of backed them a little bit more. Like you're away at Villa, and it just kind of rose them up in a sense. So
perhaps my suspicion is that it might be like it's probably like a depth thing. You know how when teams get into Europe that first year. I mean, Newcastle went Europe last year.
Yeah.
And they had a moment against PSG at St. James's, but otherwise they kind of just struggled. Because they didn't have the squad for it, and it feels a bit like, if you get to the level that you really want to get to in this game, your club is playing 3 games a week at certain periods of the season. So Newcastle are nowhere near that, but at their very peak, they can give anyone problems. This was just not their weekend. And as coach might say, fuck Jason Tindo.
Yeah. Fulham 1, Chelsea 2. Iwobi had a really good goal. Somehow Chelsea came back. Evil Bukayo Saka scored.
Is it evil we're calling him? Tyree George? He's evil Saka?
He looks like he's the Wario to Bukayo Saka's Mario.
Yeah, man. Nice goal from him. I think that's his first league goal for Chelsea, perhaps.
Yeah, it is.
I know he scored in the Conference League or something like that. But, and I've been hearing about this kid for a while, actually, before I knew what he looked like. I've heard about this Tyree George kid. So,
do you know who he is?
Who's that?
He's Nigerian and Ghanaian.
Oof, good Lord. Good Lord. But yeah, Pedro Neto scored with he basically won the game in the 3rd minute of added time. Because I actually switched this game off thinking, okay, Fulham can see this out. Then, actually, no, I saw the equalizer and I thought to myself, okay, this probably ends 1-1. Fucking London derbies, man. London derbies, weird.
Very weird. It is what it is. Arsenal Ipswich. Arsenal podcast is out now on all your streaming services. Go listen to that. Coach and Dean wax lyrical about their team. The first 35 minutes really just was Arsenal's probably best 35 minutes. What Mikel Arteta said. Kieran McKenna, he saw hell. He was just like, I thought you took budge. So, you know,
Yeah, I really enjoyed his honesty in his press conference. He said Arsenal were the highest level that he has seen this season. And keep in mind that, we've played more than 19 games, which means he's seen every team at least once, some teams twice. And Arsenal are not the champions. They will not be the Premier League champions this year, but a manager that a lot of us rate pretty highly said they are the highest level team that he has seen this season. So
mhm.
I'm gonna go ahead and take that compliment for Mikel Arteta and his tricky Reds.
Yeah.
But yeah, the pod is out. Go check it out. Coach is on that one. He's not on this one because we recorded that one in the past before Easter.
Yeah. I do have to say, earlier I mentioned there's a player with a signature shot, and that is Ethan Wanyeri. When Ethan cuts in onto his left foot, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he got another one today. It didn't look as aesthetically pleasing because it got deflected into the net, but it's really, like when he first popped up. I think I've said this on the Arsenal pod earlier today too. So forgive me for repeating myself, but when he popped up as a youth player, that finish was already on lock for him. Like no backlift, the curl into the far corner, boom, cutting in from the right wing. He's had that on lock from jump. So when he came into the team and started scoring that goal, and people were like, "Oh, he's like a mini Saka." It's like, no, he's actually at that one particular thing. Saka may be better at everything else in the world, but at that one particular move, that kid it's his trademark, not Saka's. I promise you.
Man United 0, Wolves 1. I want you to talk because I have thoughts. I didn't do a total squad.
Well, it was on at the same time as Arsenal. I don't have time for this nonsense.
Yeah,
I knew what was gonna happen.
yeah.
If I was a United fan, I would have hoped that the euphoria from the midweek game against Lyon, which was objectively a fantastic football moment for everybody that watches the game, unless you're a Lyon fan, I'm sure that would piss you off. But just from a neutral perspective or a nigga that hates United perspective, even, that was just a fun night to watch a team play football. And I thought that energy might maybe they'd be able to parlay that into a good result against Wolves. And I mean, you watched the whole game. What did you see?
Yeah. Um, One, United fans have no patience. This is your pepper, okay? This is your medicine. We have been pretending like as if this squad has been good for years, and we hit rock bottom, and we're gonna keep hitting rock bottom. Okay, it's bad. No, in fact, it's worse than what you imagine. It's funny to see fans of non-United, non-fans of United talk about this club. I'm just like, no, no, no. Week in and week out, we see this. Okay, this is not a good squad. It's a poorly built squad. 616 million pounds spent on the Eric Ten Hag's watch, and you can't make chicken shit from chicken scratch. It's just not a good squad. Period. They played well in moments. There was chances Rasmus Højlund should have tucked away. There was one particular moment in the second half where Rasmus Højlund turned a defender. Right, he had Kobe Manu open. Instead of trying to pass it to Kobe Manu, he tried to take on the defender and just mess up the whole thing. And it summed him up to like he's very physical, but he doesn't show his physicality. He's very fast, doesn't show his pace. And I was like, I'm wiping my hands. It is what it is. Cheeto Obi 17, still raw, learning the game. He's like a baby deer. He was holding off defenders better than Rasmus Højlund ever has in his little 20-minute cameo. Um, I will say there are two players that stood out to me. Tyler Frederickson started his first ever game for United, and he looked comfortable. He had Strand Larson, like big dude. Strand Larson's a big dude. Was not worried about Strand Larson at all. First ever game, Premier League game, he started well. Harry Amas did very well. That kid is. I didn't think he was gonna. I didn't think he had it in him, but he looks good. He looks very good out there. Dorgu looked decent from right wing back, but overall, just
Oh,
a lot.
wait. So Dorgo got to play on the right.
Yeah, we rotated. Yeah, did a lot
Okay,
of
that's good.
rotation.
That's
Yeah.
good. I feel like he's
Um,
been on the wrong side the whole time he's been at the club, so it's good to
yeah.
see him on his natural side.
Um, Christian Eriksen, it's cooked, man. Christian Eriksen's body cannot handle it no more. I guess he played center mid because he can pass the ball a little better than Kobe Mainoo, so Kobe is a 10, but it's just a really bad squad. I saw someone today saying that, oh, how can you lose to Wolves? Your squad's not that bad to lose to Wolves. Yeah, it is. They got better midfielders. They got Ain't Nori and Kuna. They got a better squad. And
Yeah.
they're much more used to playing the 3-5 system than United are. And I think that a lot of United fans don't have the patience to deal with another rebuild or actually do a rebuild because we never had one. We just try to patch holes. And it's like, no, 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 no. We haven't knocked down the real buildings yet, and it has to happen this summer. But overall, I'm not shocked. The coach rotated, and The focus is Europa League. That's really what it is. I feel like a broken record, which is why I haven't done any content about it because it's you're not gonna learn anything new from what I've said. I've said this before that this is gonna be tough. You don't want to see United at this level, but this is where you are. And in
No,
your Bible will
no,
tell you,
no.
huh?
We do want to see it. We do want
Yeah.
to see
Oh
it.
yeah. If you hate United, if you hate United, oh, you absolutely love this. 100%.
Oh
Listen,
man, I'm having
this
a great time. Having
yeah.
a great time.
But in Yoruba, we say this one word, laju and dada. Open up your eyes because this is not a good squad at all.
Right,
We have
right.
one striker who scored one goal in 28 games. And I want you, when you're done, I want you to go watch what Rasmus did. Anybody who listened, go watch the chance that Rasmus missed the cross that he had. And I want you to also go notice when he tried to just spin the defender, didn't find it to Mano. But yeah, that's all I have to say. And Garnacho switched boots. He's an Adidas guy now. So there's that.
Yeah, that will fix everything that's wrong with that little nigga, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to give Wolves and Pablo Sarabia a shout out. Lovely free kick in the 77th minute. I can't really think of a goalkeeper alive that would save that. So let's not get on Onana's back for some shit that wasn't his fault. There'll be plenty to get on his back about that is his fault. Just give it to the midweek or some shit. Like he'll do
Next
something.
week.
Yeah, next week. No problem. But yeah, United 0, Wolves 1.
Yeah. Liverpool, Leicester. Leicester are officially relegated. As soon as United lost, they got confirmed, and then they lost to Liverpool today, and that made it even more.
Wait, does that mean United isn't getting relegated?
No, United are not getting relegated officially.
Oh,
This
man,
this
that's
wasn't gonna,
sad,
it wasn't
man.
gonna happen.
Hey, man, that was, once Arsenal wasn't going to win the league, my next thing was, can United and Spurs get relegated? And I don't think I'm going to get that either. It's been, man, the PGML, man, they keep fucking me, man. They won't give me anything I want.
It would be hilarious if United finished 16th and then end up in Champions League.
That would be hilarious, objectively. But yeah, shout out. Well, I'm not shouting out Liverpool because fuck them. But congratulations to them. They're about to wrap this shit up. But I love that Trent came off the bench to get the goal in this one. And apparently it's the first time he scored for them with his left foot. And he got like a nice little iconic moment in what should be a title-winning season as he leaves the club. So I hope Liverpool fans are able to find some peace with the Trent situation. This is just a kid that wants to go see the world. Like he's done it all with you guys. I can understand being upset about it, but come on, man, you can't look at what happened today. Him scoring, as you're about to wrap the season. I mean, the only thing that would have made it better is if they won the league today, but because Arsenal beat Ipswich, that was not going to happen. So yeah, just find your peace, man. He's a very talented player, and you should want to see him do well at his next stop. That's for sure.
And also, think about it like this. The last local boy you guys had that wore number 8 didn't win you any leagues, and he won too. Then we got some games on Monday. Girona versus Betis, Torino versus Udinese, Cagliari versus Fiorentina, Parma versus Juventus, which should be fun. I know Thuram's gonna be there because he was there for the Inter game. He loves to show support for his son, and Tottenham and Nottingham Forest. That's gonna be fun because I don't see Tottenham winning, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, Tottenham. I mean, Nottingham Forest looks like like a bad matchup. Like Tottenham is designed to lose to Nottingham Forest in very embarrassing fashion that will have people chanting weird shit about Big Ange, and that's a shame because I like Big Ange.
Yeah. Wow. The Premier League don't like Big Ange either or his tactics, which is why Tottenham and United are struggling because both their coaches are drowning right now. But I've said all I need to say. Anything you want to add from the weekend that you saw? Any cool shit? Any dumb shit?
Nah, man. Nah, I think we've done more than enough. Thanks for being with us as always. I know you guys, I hope you guys had a lovely time with your families on this holiday weekend. We decided to hop on here and do something for y'all, even though we should have been spending time with our families. But, sacrifice. We love you guys that much. But yeah, thanks for joining me, Tosin. I always appreciate these moments.
Thank you, fellas. We're out. Everyone take it easy. Peace.
Hey folks, this is Dean from the Shirtless Plantain Show. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and follow us on all our socials. You can see them right beneath our recordings in every video. Thanks again, and see you on the next one.